Hello, I'm here today with Skies Above the Reich by GMT Games. This is one of my favorite games of the past year. I've really got a lot of playtime on it, and I've really enjoyed it. And I thought what I would do today is a video playthrough of an entire mission. Uh, there's campaigns that are like a series of missions, and each mission takes about 15 minutes to a half hour. So I figured I can just try to do one live. It's the first time I've ever tried doing an actual live playthrough, so hopefully I won't screw up too badly. Get this out of the way, but I thought maybe first I would do a little bit of an intro and kind of explain a little bit about the game before I actually get into the playthrough. First of all, it starts in early 1942 and moves up to near the end of the war. You command an entire squadron or Staffel, and you slowly will upgrade them, and you will also get newer technologies to upgrade your planes as well as your pilots. But also you will lose pilots and have to replace them with inexperienced pilots. Also, the bomber formations become more and more deadly as the war goes on. As you can see, this one is just very basic, but eventually it gets to like interlocking fields of fire, and it's pretty deadly, and you will lose a lot of your pilots. I actually, there's a situation book that lets you roll the dice for setups, like whether the mission is inbound, outbound, over the target, and like how many turns you have before you have to withdraw for fuel, and if there's any escorts. So I actually went through and did all that rolling, so it's set up. We have some P-47s that are going to be escorts that we'll be going up against. But since it's inbound, they will actually be leaving on turn 3 because of fuel limitations. And that's the other thing too, as you get further into the war, the Allies got better planes like the P-51 Mustang that could stick along with the bombers longer and help defend them. So bad for us, good for them. So yeah, the gameplay I think is very elegant. I really enjoy it. It's driven through cards and chits, and the planes themselves, ME-109s or BF-109s if you wish. I prefer to say ME-109. I believe the term can be kind of used interchangeably. I think BF was Bayerische Flugzeugwerke was the company that was developing it before Messerschmitt took over. So some of the early models, like the 110, they can be called BF 110s or ME 110s. To me, I will go with ME Messerschmitt. Yeah, but they're on these wooden blocks, and you have an evasive side and a standard side, and then the pilot's name. And then you have these altitude blocks, wooden blocks. They are for stacking to show if you're coming in high or low. And these are your approach boxes, but I'll get into that a little more detail in the game. You have these attack bonuses here, advantages. Like if you have one space with 2+ fighters, you can get this advantage that will allow you to cancel a hit. If an element is attacked from more than one altitude and position, if you come in from different angles, you get a to avoid another hit of your or so. And then there's the Schwarm tactic. If 4 fighters come in at the same altitude and same approach type, you get 2 bonus hits that you can apply. Also, you roll for the position of the sun, which I've already done, and it's now at the nose high position. So if we ever attack from nose high, we get a marker on that particular plane, and it allows you to cancel, or actually you roll, and on even or odd lets you dodge a hit. Over here we have the escort display, the mission turn. It tracks the tactical points. The tactical points are used for special maneuvers and various other things. And then of course you have the turn limit that we rolled for. We have 8 turns before we have to withdraw. Now over here we have the fate boxes. You'll see these will come into play if you fail a damage roll on a particular type of damage. You place that plane there on that particular one, and then at the end of the battle you roll to see if your pilot makes it out. So it can kind of be a cliffhanger. Like I said, then over here we have the actual bomber formations. These numbers here are the lethality level, or lethal level of, it represents just how dangerous a spot is. And as a formation starts to get bombers knocked out, like for example this one's fallen, any of these spaces is now a -1 to that number. So usually the lower the number, the safer it is. And each position that you approach from has its own advantages and disadvantages. Like if you come in from the tail, there's an option to just, you might get the option to stay and ride the tail and get an extra turn of fire to do more damage. If you come in from one of the flanks, like at an oblique angle, there is less of a chance of you hitting your target, but less of a chance of them hitting you. And then, of course, head on, you're going to definitely pass through faster because they're coming at you, you're coming at them. So, whereas if you attack from the tail, a lot of times you're not going to move much. And on this particular map, there's actually 4 maps, 2 double-sided maps on mounted map boards. This is the smaller one. This is the particular one I rolled for. And unlike most of them, there is an entire formation. This actually is 2 separate formations. So you roll at the start of the mission, even and odd, which I've already done. And it was even, so this is the formation we're using here. And then you roll a dice to see if any damage has already been inflicted from anti-aircraft or other fighters. And there was this bomber here, took a fuselage hit. When I actually get into the game, I will explain a little more about how those hits and stuff work. Then you also roll to see how many like mission points you have to use. I forget what they call them. I think operation points. And each plane costs 1 operation point. So we were able to bring 4. So I brought my 4 pilots here. Bauer, Schmidt, Richter, and Kremler. Now you'll notice that they are, half of them are yellow, half of them are red. That really doesn't matter. There's actually an equal number of red and yellow in the entire game, and that's designed if you want to play a 2-player like semi-co-op game, which I've yet to play. I need to find somebody who would like to maybe play with me sometime. And yeah, so as the war goes on, you get the option to invest in auxiliaries. Like you can get like an FW-190 or Messerschmitt 110s to help, and you can also get armor and rockets, and that have their own advantage and disadvantage. And interestingly enough, you can actually drop bombs on the formation, which was actually a tactic that was used. They had like time-fused bombs that they would fly above the formation and drop it down into the formation, trying to break up the combat box. It kind of is a hit-or-miss strategy, and there's a very unique system how it works in this, involving 2 dice, which if I get further on in the campaign, like I said, you get more tricks to try, but they also get more tricks. And also there's an advanced game you can play. It makes it a little more difficult. Normally, you score a victory point if you knock a bomber out of formation or if you destroy them. It's worth a victory point. But in the advanced game, if you knock a bomber out of formation, you get one of these little markers and you take all the accrued damage. So let's say there was a couple damage markers, and then you place it on whatever turn it was downed. And at any time, you get the option to move some of your planes off the board onto whatever turn marker, and then you have to intercept that plane after the mission is over. And you go to one of these little mats right here and kind of do a one-on-one duel and try to take out the damaged bomber. Otherwise, you would not get a victory point. So it gives you a lot more EXP, but it makes it a lot harder to score victory points. Today, for simplicity, I will be just doing the standard rules. But usually I do play with the advanced rules. I like the extra difficulty. There's also an option to play with Stoffel Erosion. That's where you just take attrition. There's like a table you roll on, and your pilots get taken away for other projects or randomly killed. And that makes it far too difficult, so I do not usually play with that system. So I will probably cut it short here fairly soon, and then get down to actually taping the video. And these are the cards you use for whatever position you're attacking from, and then they get a continuing fire to attack you, and there's always that's always kind of rough. So anyway, yeah, I think I will wrap it up here and then get back to the game. So thank you, and hopefully I can upload that video soon of the actual playthrough. And apologies in advance if I screw it up or trip over my words. I don't have a script, and I won't be using scripted dice rolls, so if my planes get blasted out of the sky on the first turn by escorts or driven off, it might be uninteresting. So if that is the case, I will probably play through another video and try to get something exciting, because I don't fudge any dice rolls or anything. So we'll just see you when I go live with that next video. Thank you, everyone.